right. Welcome first. Thank you for being here, and thanks to the team who put this Pop-Kultur thing up. I think it's a fantastic festival. So, about today, my name is Jovanka von Wilsdorf. I skipped the me part so that we have more time for you. This is about artist career, mapping. Now what's that? It sounds a little bit like an app you can get and just follow the red dot and find success or something. That's not really it. So it's just a word, basically, and that is just a picture, but it actually shows a little bit more about what we're doing. And as a creative person, or as a musician, or as a anyone working in the creative industry, we have as much control over our career as over the ocean. Like, we can watch out for our boat. We can make sure that our boat is in good shape. But if we go out and a tsunami hits or whatever, zoom, that was it. But even more so, it's very good to be a little bit prepared. Like, we can learn about the currents and waves and the weather and all these little things also with our crew. It is really important to find out who do you want to go with out on the ocean. It really sucks to find out in a hurricane that your first sailor likes to pick fights with the cook as soon as the weather is changing. And those things happen because there will be weather changes. And even if the weather is brilliant, I think this is even an advice, just never forget that you're still out on the ocean. So this is what I've seen a lot, that people suddenly have this wave of success and feel really comfortable and take it for granted, and it can change like this. So actually the work starts there. Yes, about today. Oh yeah, and have another look at my masterpiece. It looks really nice and easy and funny. You do not see the sharks. And they are some. Yes, so today there will be no handouts. So whenever you think something is interesting for you, whatever resonates, take a note, and I would like you to take it with your pen and paper, because that gives the straightest information to the body. Anything in the phone gets lost somewhere, and handouts just land in the trash. We don't want that. So yes, also ask questions. Like, we will work in chapters. Whenever you think, I didn't get that, or whatever, ask. That'll be good. So, but first, my questions. Who of you can make a living from music already? Nice, 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 nice. Who still, who wants to make a living from music? Okay. Who of you is an active artist or band? Okay, this is most cool. Who is working in booking agencies or some? So for you, I think some of the tools will make sense, but I'll focus a little bit more on the creative side. But oh yes, and who of you is doing it DIY, doing all the shit yourself? Dear, dear, dear. Yes, great. Wonderful. Now, let's start. These are the 3 rings. So the middle point is just the why. That's the creation. That's your struggle you have with yourself while doing it. And we won't touch this today. There's this middle ring. This is, what am I doing with it? It's about time management, workflow, doubting things, all these things. It's about like organizing all the other crap that comes and is bugging you so you don't get to do your work. And that, from my experience, is a problem for many, many artists, that they get into organizing themselves in such an amount that there's not really space to go back and make music and create. Yeah, and the third circle, the how, is like, how do I get it out into the world? How do I present myself? How do I communicate? How do I protect myself? That is about all these things like, is my package strong? How do I address assholes? How do I deal with being put in the waiting loop? All these things. How do I shine without bending myself, like forcing myself to be social will not work. So how do I deal with that? That's the third ring. We will focus on the second ring, because that I call that the trickle up ring in a way. If that one works, the what ring, the middle ring, the core, has much more space, and it's much easier to deal with the third ring. So, but who of you would be interested in something about like the third ring too? Okay. All right, let's see. There we will have some time, but probably not so much. We start with a little overview. So this is, we get into like tools later on, the dance with case and structure and a lot of things to wrap up. But this is just as an overview, and you can do that working with a 1-year goal or with a short time goal even, or as a reality check. So what you do is you can draw this or just take a piece of paper and start with 1. This is your future anchor. So on one piece of paper, you set a goal. And if it's like, I want to be on the radio, it won't work. You have to really question yourself, what does that mean? So what kind of radio? Like there's some research to do. What would that mean? So what do I want? What would that mean around it? Like really go into that. Like how would my career be in order to be on the radio, for example? And you really write a long list, condense it, and then you go into one concrete situation and you really, and this is no esoteric bullshit, this really works. You go into it and imagine how it feels. Like your body will know how it feels when you get there. And this helps a lot. Like just aiming for something in the future is not really giving you that pull. But if you already know how it will feel and what to expect, I mean, things are changing, but it does pull you automatically in the right direction. So after you've done this, you go to number 2, which is your treasure chest. And this is interesting because you can totally fool yourself with this, but it can also be very helpful. So first of all, you write down, what are all my treasures? Like, what do I have? And I mean, songs, records, a strong team, whatever. There can be so much. And actually, while writing it down, especially when you do it with a companion, or you can do it even with a band, more things will pop up. And it's so good to have this list of what do I have here? That is great. So after that, who do I know who could help me to get there? And that's so simple, but the trick is you start writing down who you know, and then more people come to mind. And then the next question is, who could these people know? Who could I ask who would know people? And suddenly this list really fills up. And this is a very good starting point. And obviously, what do I need, which with always means, what do I need to do? Like, might be I need a booker, or I need a management. So what do I need to do for that? Again, you write a long list and cluster that. And then you ask yourself, what can I start with? Now, the trick is to say, I start here. I have an anchor, future anchor there. It's 1 year. I set a fixed date. Say it's the 28th of October, August. Sounds better. Next year. And so you know you will be there. This is what you want then. Now you start, and in the middle, like say somewhere in May, in the beginning of May, you make another fixed date with yourself, which is the lighthouse. And this is the point where you sit down and think, okay, what happened? How far did I go? Like, what tools worked for me? What did not work at all? Maybe your goal has changed, because over half a year, sometimes it's like, oh, actually, it's not the EP I want. I really, really want, I had this licensing for cinema thing or whatever. I want to go more in that direction, but I definitely want to put out 3 singles. So you can adjust it here, also adjust your tools. Recheck, how would that feel? And then you have half a year left to really go at it. So actually, what I wanted to do is to kind of do this with you here, but it would take about 25 minutes even to do the light version. And that might not, that we'll just eat too much time. We don't have that, I think. But if you want to, you can either take a photo or forget about it. This is just a very helpful thing. Yes. The dance was chaos and structure. Obviously, we need both. So chaos is the drama and the dreaming and the playing and the all that, the getting lost and finding shiny pearls in the deep, and it's very important to be totally free there. Like, if you try to be structured on the creative side, you will not bring anything sparkling home. So that's important. On the other hand, it's the structure, which means you get the picture: responsibility, discipline, shaping, choice. And it's a little bit like with songwriting. You can, you need a great idea. Like, great ideas are beautiful, but you can have a million great ideas without ever writing a finished song. So on the other hand, if you have the best structure in a song structure now, and you have the most polished lines, it's dead in the water if it's not vibrant. So it does need both. Yeah. And this. Yeah. Well, that actually says it. There is no key to anything. I mean, there are all this, I'm saying this because there are all these books. Keys to success, or key to self-confidence, and all that. It won't work. It's definitely a constant process, and it sucks and it's great, but you constantly have to adjust. And now tools, yeah, there are tools, there are beautiful tools, but not every tool suits everybody. Like, I can work with a strong structure on someone who's just not built that way, and that person will just become tight and not be creative anymore. That's horrible. So you have to find out if a tool that you read about or that friends show you, if they really work for you. And it's a no-brainer, but it's not, because people spend a lot of time trying to adjust themselves to nice tools that sound great, like yoga or morning sites. Wake up every morning and write down something. For me, that doesn't work at all. I need to brood about things and then give it space, and then suddenly it comes out. And then I have to polish. So for me, that would not work. Just try it. Also, not every tool is good for every task. Like, try baking a cake with that. It's not good. So, third, again, that's pretty clear. The best tool in the world, even if it suits you, even if you like it, can only work for you if you use it, and if you use it continuously. And that is maybe the most important thing, because doing 2 days super retreat or going to all these workshops and if you do not work on these things continuously and again and again and again, and fail and do it again and adjust and be at it, doesn't work. Now, how to get there? We have questions. Now, what needs fixing? Obviously not you. This is about what needs fixing. These are questions how to actually open this toolbox. Let's have a very simple example. Like, every time I'm trying to get to write, I want to finish this song, all these thoughts about, like, I have to call the dentist, la 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 la, bug me like a swarm of wasp, and I just don't get to my work. There's always something in between. And I tried everything. It doesn't work. So that's just for example. Then I commit to this one thing. I want to change this. And then I ask myself, what makes me tick? Which is kind of, here you are the basics, the Play-Doh to build your tools from. It's what makes me tick. I need deadlines to be really good. I need tough deadlines. I hate it, but I need it. Or I work well with a good week structure, but I have no idea how to do this. Or I can't work at all under pressure. So if you know this, you know how to build your tools. Yes, and how do I start? Definitely with one thing, and that is the funny thing. Whenever people find out they want to change something, they hit a ceiling and they want to get out of a bad situation, or they want to lose weight, or they want to start sport, like this New Year's Eve thing. It's doomed to fail, because you try to address everything at once and then you fail. The most important thing is to start slow, really focus on the one thing you want to attack and commit to it, really commit to it, and then start. For example, we go back to this thing. Well, what could I do? I kind of like structure points in the week. I can't focus when I'm writing because all these things are bugging me. So what am I doing? I commit to 1 day a week as the WASP day. I call it my office island. And whenever I'm in my creative work and these things start bugging me, I take side notes. And like literally, I just have this piece of this papers, and then it comes boom in the Monday bowl. My body knows by now that these things will be taken care of next Monday. Most things don't die when they wait for 4 more days. Things get lost when they get put off over weeks and weeks and weeks. So by now my body knows it'll be easy because it will be taken care of. So whatever I put in the Monday bowl is kind of out of my head. Took some training, but it works. But this is just one thing. This is matching for me. This is what I mean. You really have to find out what works for you. And it's not perfect either. Like, there are things you still have to do, but it's one step. And this actually tells your body that you're gaining control, that you're not helpless because all these things are coming at you. What can I keep up? That is, again, the most important thing. If I do something I cannot keep up, my body just has the information, I failed. And the body gives a flying flower about how big a win is or how big a lose is. It's just, if I fail because I try to do something and then I don't do it, it doesn't work. If I say, okay, I want to make sport, 4 times a week, I know I'm doomed. I go for 2 times, but for sure, this is a commitment, like I have to catch a fucking flight. And if I do the 3rd time, that's super cool. So, and I know 2 times a week is, I get that. I can do that. And usually I get the 3rd one. So usually I feel super cool about this. And this is a very simple way to trick yourself, but it sounds so simple, and that actually is the dangerous part. Because whenever a tool sounds simple, you tend to not use it. It's so weird. So you really have to do it and start, as I said, start with one thing, address it, commit to one thing, and pull through. And give it a frame maybe. Say, okay, I'm looking at this thing for the next 3 weeks. You can address a lot with this. It's kind of nice, yes. And if you slip, don't worry. This is just part of the game. It's basically like learning an instrument. Like, it just, dead points are part of it. You just have to keep at it, and you need humor on the way. You need to take it light sometimes, otherwise it's, you don't want to do it. And the good thing is, whenever you have a small success, you want more of it. This is how we are structured, and this is actually through every type. If we have something, if we experience something nice, oh, we did good, we want more. Nice thing. Yeah, so, really simple. Control doesn't work. I mean, you can try to control the ocean, you can try to control your band. Ever try to control your band? Does not work. But disciplined playfulness basically means what we just talked about. It means that you are serious about it. Like, do you remember when you were a child and you played building houses or whatever, or all these things? I mean, I could make up cities for days and nights and just go back into this world. And I was totally focused on it. It was not funny. It was totally serious, but it was still a game. And it was really nice, and I would not get tired. And that is the thing. Children who play with a strong focus, but not with control. And they do not get tired from this playing. And if you find this, and this is again, that's why disciplined playfulness, play around with it. See where do I do this with myself? Is there another way maybe? Is there a way to make it more playful? Sounds funny. I mean, that is actually the reason why I draw all these childlike pictures, because it is a serious thing. And if you make a living from music, or you want to go the big journey, you really, really need a lot of breath and muscle and humor. Yes, so. Zimzalabim. Now, we are quick here, that's great. So, that's kind of a tool preset box. Yeah, and this is, I don't know, it looks like a match, but it's supposed to be this. How do you call this? A magic wand? Whatever. So anyway, Office Island we talked about. I recommend that when you are attacked by things, you're just overwhelmed by it. Get 1 day for these things. It's the grumpy day, but the Mount Everest will basically melt. which is good. Second, rituals. It's so often mistaken with routine. If you get into a routine, you do things unconsciously. Routines will tire you out. A marriage that is full of routine will die. But if you have rituals, rituals is a thing you can come back to. It's an energetic anchor. It's an entrance door to something. So again, it's something that you do as a routine, but you can repeat it, but you do it fully, with full consciousness. A friend of mine, when I was in school, really hated to do homework. Me too, I just didn't do it. But he got kind of forced to do it. So whenever he had to sit down and start with it, he had 3 gummy bears and he would decaptivate them. And that was, I thought it was really funny back then, but now I totally understand that it was his ritual. It's like his body knew he would sit down, he would captivate these 3 gummy bears, and then it would be 1 hour of homework, and over it is. So it's like, yeah, it's just a physical trigger to something that works. It can be many things, like, for example, if you have a hard time to go out to social events, like business social events, and have to socialize, and you can't really do it, or you're just in your studio move, and you just don't want to do it. You can have a ritual there too. And if it is have a song, like boxers have a song, you play it loud and you jump up and down. It sounds funny, it really works. I put a candle on and stare into that candle while this music is running, and then I pull this golden candle around me like a golden suit. It works. I don't like these social events. I'm quite good at it, but I don't like it. But this ritual helped me. So again, discipline, playfulness, you have to find your rituals that work for you. Disjoin the enemy. So if you're someone who likes to, or has to put things off because they scare you, like you want to write a big application, or you know this booking period will start now, and you just put it off, then this is really great. You just cut it in chapters, and in the first session, first of all, you write down everything that is to do. As a first session, there's nothing else to do. Just sit down and write down what is to do, and cluster chapters. Like, okay, this is all research, this is all this, this is all this. And make sure that you have sessions for this. Like, really, okay, my first session is just to get an overview. Then the second is just for the research, getting the material together. Suddenly you have a grip on it, and it doesn't have a grip on you anymore. And for people, and I know some people have a very hard time to finish things, make sure that the last session, the finishing session, is something really small. It's basically just called finishing session. So maybe you do proofreading, and then it's done. But so that this finishing line loses all its monster scariness. And yeah, I've seen some people get to very nice results with this, actually. Yes, time frames, that also helps. Because if I hate to do something, or I don't want to do something, to know it'll be just an hour. I will start here and I will stop there. That's doable. It's much more likely that you do it. Like, you can take yourself by the hand and say, okay, it's 3 o'clock now, at 4 o'clock this will be over, just do it. Yes, and there I'm jumping to the point, don't debate. Because that is actually really interesting. Before, instead of just starting to do our work, sometimes we go into this debating things. I could do this, and actually I don't want to, and no, I really don't want to, and if I finish this before, or maybe blah, 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 blah. This is eating so much energy. Like, or even before sport, you don't want to go to the gym and you talk to yourself about it. Don't debate. Tell yourself to shut up. You can talk later. And usually if you have done something, the voices are kind of chilled. Like, it's okay. And this is so simple. Try it. When the blah, 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 blah come, say, shut up. Works. And not always. Again, this needs training. All this needs training, but it can be fun too. Yeah, and we touched that already, this reward. Do not punish yourself. Really get into this thing to reward yourself whenever you got something happening, even smallest thing. I really like physical list because crossing it out, it's like, whew, whew, done, great. And these small successes just tell you to want more, much more than punishing yourself. And I know so many, I say that sounds so easy, but I say that because so many musicians I work with spend a lot of time punishing themselves. And like actually thinking more about what they can't do or what they have done wrong than spending time focusing on the task right in front of them. So we want to focus on what is to do right in front of us. Yeah, and get help. Again, that sounds so easy because usually, and I don't know why that is, we tend to ask for help when it's too late. Like, I don't know how many calls I had in my life, like, oh dear, we have to sign this contract tomorrow. Can we come? It's like, no. This is not how it works. First, I'm not a lawyer, and this is not how it works. You need to start with these things much earlier. If you know you go into a very tough period of working time, check before who could be of help. What could you need? And ask questions. For some reason, it's so easy to forget this, especially when we're under pressure, to ask for advice or just for information from other people. Google is great, but it's not all. It's not a substitute for this. Now, you can't bug your friends all the time with asking them for help. What makes it easier? First of all, you don't have to do that. You should always try to, find out what you can do for yourself. But the second thing is be of help. And don't forget it, even under pressure. Be of help. Help. Do it yourself. Like if someone's saying, could you just proofread this? I can't. I don't see anything anymore. Do it. Don't get sucked empty, but this is the way you build bonds, and this is what we need. We really need this. Yes, now good habits. There's a question mark, but it's totally a yes. It's after all this training that kind of sucks. Whatever is a habit and it's actually in your body, you don't need to focus on it anymore. Like if it's a good habit to wake up in the morning and first of all put your feet on the floor and think about what do I want from this day. It takes 3 minutes. If it's a habit, you don't even have to think about it anymore. There's no debating. It will not eat any disk space. So whatever you can integrate, it's beautiful. And habits are for things that do not come with a kiss, just because like this. No. Yes. And this, again, is really simple, but it's not. Like, to catch yourself when you do it again. Like you don't want to spend so much time on Instagram, but then you do it again, and then you do it again, and then you do it again. So if you try to say, I throw my iPhone out of the window, or I just don't do it anymore for 1 week, it won't really last, it won't really help. But if you put that on this question list, said, I don't want this anymore, I want to fix this. So your first step is to actually look at it and be curious. And every time you do it again, it's like, oh, there you are. Hi, there you are. You do it again. And these things, all these little buggers like to work in the dark. They come from fear. They work in the dark. So if you address them and say, hi, there you are again, they don't like that and they shrink. They really do. So if you say hi for over a week to whenever you go back to Instagram, you will eventually really get on your own nerves. And the periods where you do it will shrink. It'll just be easier. Again, very easy, it just has to be done. And the more often and the more undramatic we catch ourselves. That's another thing. If we catch ourselves and like, again, oh no, I did it again. That's not good. But if it's like, oh, all right, there you are again, it's undramatic. And that will actually work for you. And that's the more often you do that, the better. Like, you tend to maybe self-pity or excuses, catch yourself, or procrastination, stupid word. Just catch yourself. Or what else? Punishing yourself, all this. Just don't try to change it right away. One more thing about this excuses thing, because many people do that. It feels good, but it's exactly like stealing from your own wallet. Any word that you put between you and your responsibility makes you helpless. So do not make excuses. If I could, and I think this goes for everyone. It feels so much better to say, okay, no, I fucked this up, doesn't matter. Let's go on. It gives you more respect even if you do that with people. It's all these sorry thingies, excuses, oh, the train was late, blah, 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 don't. Yes, now we actually, now there's the 3 already. Are there any, because before we go into the 3, are there any questions or examples you would like to say something? No? Yeah. Absolutely. Totally. So yeah, and it's actually exactly what I talked about, that if you do it consciously, then it cannot have a grip on you. Like if you say, I will do, depending on in what phase you are, sometimes you have to be a lot on social media if you promote your album or whatever. But there's so many times when you still do it and you don't have to. So it must suit your situation, but you can totally say, I have an allowance, whatever, this 1 hour a day or twice half an hour is all right. But for now, for the next week or for the next 2 weeks, whenever I'm writing, I go in flight mode or whatever. So this is what I meant. Take one little thing and try out if it works for you. If you build islands, like I say, have an office island. And one thing I jumped over, and that's really important actually, is the date with yourself. That's another thing I would really recommend, to have one date. I come back to that point. If you have one date a week where it's only about you, and it's as important again as catching a flight or a job that pays your rent. So you commit to, say, Wednesday from 3 to 6. It can be 1 hour, best would be half a day, regularly. If you can't make that date, make a definite new date for it. So before the first date, you think, what haven't I done for a long time? Like, you could go back to poetry writing. You could take the treasure map and do that. It's important to have a fence around that date with yourself, and there is nothing, like no one is supposed to call you or to nag you, there are no emails, la 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 la. The great thing is, again, your body is getting used to this, and you can't press or you can't force creativity or reflection, but you can lure it. You can welcome it. And a date with yourself is a fantastic start for that. So important for that is actually only to have a little journal, to have a fixed appointment, and you have your time, and before you end it, it's kind of a ritual again, you write down what you want to do the next time. Like one thing you want to do next time. Even if you change your plans by then, it's good to have something to come back to. You know, okay, next Wednesday there will be something in my book to start with, and then you take it from there. Helps. So, again, to this, try to build islands. Like, be honest and say, like, how much time do I really have to spend on this? What would I like to allow myself? And then try different things. Like, okay, don't do it first thing in the morning, because that's really not good. That's in the morning, your alpha waves are on. You could create a lot. So don't do this social media stuff early in the morning. But whenever else, maybe like after lunch break, you have half an hour or whatever. So your inner child that wants to do that has to feel good with it. And then look at it and start small. If you can keep it up for a week, great, that's a win. Then you can say, do I want to continue or want to pitch it up? But this is exactly, it was the thing before, this 4 questions. Where was it? What needs fixing? Like, this is, you just said that. What makes me tick? Like, how do I like to work? What do I need? Where do I start with one thing? What can I keep up and try? Yeah. Yes.
When I listen to all these solutions or advices, it's for me like coaching, sprech a little bit. Yes,
Yeah.
that's fine. I totally
Yeah.
understand that. But for me, it's like everything has a structure and everything has an answer. And I'm an artist because I think nothing has a structure and nothing has an answer. You know what I mean? This is what keeps me going because I'm
Absolutely. See, and this is why, while we talk about the third ring, like how to bring it out, we look at this again. And this was my first, do you remember this? This is the dance with both, because you can think for 10 more years that nothing has the structure, but you won't have a career then.
Yeah, I know. I totally know what you mean, but I think isn't it sometimes more about to improvise and be patient with myself and maybe to celebrate the chaos or something. You know what I mean?
This is why this is as big as this. And see, I drew this 3 rings, and the thing you talk about, that would be another presentation. That is just go into the creation, how to dive even deeper without getting yourself into too dangerous areas or whatever. So unblocking, all that is that. But this is about the second ring, which means how do I deal with it? This is about workflow. And for me, a structure is there to give you freedom. And as I said, as the second ring, the better the second ring works, the more space your first one has. And I am working with brilliant artists who just, if they don't get this structure going, no one will find out about them. Also, you can be totally creative, but if you do not know about how to deal with business partners, you will get, you will get fucked up. They will. So it is important, and this is why I'm saying, like, I'm repeating to say these tools have to suit you. That's exactly why I'm saying do not adjust yourself to any tool. Adjust the tool to you. So that's, and you're totally right in one thing. If you talk to a lot of people, there is no one fits all thing. So we can only talk here about basics, structures, and you can only pick what resonates. And I really ask you to forget everything, because as I said, it's like all these workshops and smart people or trying to be smart people won't help. In the end, back to the boat, you will have to go on your boat and sail and find out. Anyway, so we go to the, how much time do we still have? What time is it now? 47. That's good. That's really good. So, third ring, no more nice pictures. I think for this, when you start going out into the world with your stuff, the first beautiful thing, beautiful question you can ask yourself is, what kind of an animal am I? And just as a basic type, like under pressure, do I play dead? Do I take a flight? Or do I attack? And this is weird, but for some reason there are these three types. So all of these types can be totally helpful, because there are times to fight and there are times to pull back. But if you're not aware, if you're just acting on it, you will not know where it hit you. You really have to know, you have to see the ball to catch it. So if you're honest to yourself and you know, well, if there's pressure, I don't answer emails anymore, I just play dead. Or whatever. Or you're an attacking person. Like there's pressure and this thing is amygdala an. Sometimes it means like you're dropping atomic bombs on cows. If you know it, actually it's a very great, it's a force, it's a strong energy. But if you're not aware of it, you will destroy a lot for yourself. So whenever, then like next time you're under pressure and you feel like you have the strong urge to react impulsively, if you can hold back, like 5 minutes, hold back, say, okay, this is the reminder that we have, right, 20 minutes left to go. Cool. Now I have to turn this off. Where was I? Dear, you totally confused me. Yes, take 5. That's best example. Take 5 minutes. And just find out if it's good to react that way, because your tools are just helping you, or your instincts are helping you, or if they're playing tricks on you. For example, if you're angry, like bullshit is happening, which just sometimes happens, and there's a stupid email coming in and you need to answer. You really need to answer. Write that mail, definitely, because otherwise you lock it in, it will mold and it'll grow, and next time something very small happens, you will kill that person. So write that mail, but don't send it out. Just keep it overnight and look at it the next morning and then condense it down to the facts. Trying to play nice when things are not nice, it won't help for a very long time. But acting on everything that's not nice is not a good idea either. Yes, the package, we just touched that very shortly. A lot of artists have good music or play live for some time, and then they actually want to go out and they want to be seen and they want to be discovered in a way or play more, or they wonder why it's so hard to get booked. The package means that people are not just listening to the music, they're buying into a lifestyle. If I see someone, I need to want to be part of that life in a way. I'm buying into a whole style. Just remember if you see someone on stage and the whole thing is just, it looks like it sounds and the energy is straightforward, and then you go to the website and it kind of reflects that. I'm not talking about it has to look the same, but the energy of it, the clearness, the basic colors has to be matching. And this is something, while you're in the studio, you keep forgetting. Or then you have a possibility to make a photo shoot with a fantastic photographer. Well, the pictures might be great, but they might not look like your music sounds. And especially when you're working with a major, that's a very hard thing to deal with, because they will say, well, we paid 5,000 euro for this photo shoot and now you say you don't like it. So the more you know before what you are about. And this was actually, again, it would be another whole session, but to find out like these are my colors, this is my energy, this is my punchline, this is my claim. If I meet someone on a party in the famous elevator and I have 30 seconds to give him an impression of what I want to do, it has to be, and no, I should not sound like a robot while doing it. Like it should be honest, it just should be well reflected. And by honesty, I do not mean pushing your private whatever in everybody's face. To be private is not to be professional. To be personal is to be professional. So one little thing about self-marketing, because that, I know everyone hates that, and it's not so easy, and you have to, like, I can only speak of some cases here, but for example, you have to write emails to festivals, you have to write emails to booking agencies, all these emails you have to write out. Maybe someone gave you the contact, which is great because you have someone you can you can name there, but if not, how to do it. And this is really short. The main thing is be short, be really, really, really short and clear, because people will not read, even if you have a beautiful way of talking about yourself, people will not read more than 10 lines usually. The first thing is what you have to say, who you are, if there's personal contact involved, who gave it to you, why do you want to talk to especially, or why do you want to play on that festival? Combine it with a real compliment. Like make sure that they kind of sense you've done your homework. Like the best concert you ever saw was last year on the Meld, that and that band. Whatever, think of something that's not overdone, but that's personal. And also, obviously then, what you want. And include a question, because we are programmed to answer. If someone comes up to you on the street and just tells you something, you will probably say, well, that's whatever. Maybe that person is nice, but I would probably still just walk. But if someone's asking me a question, it's just an instinct to answer. So do that in your mails. Simple question really helps. Oh, and then there's these things people don't answer. Follow up. It's not fun, but sometimes it's necessary. Things get lost. And follow up, don't take it. And that's so fucking hard, because in this business, you're supposed to give yourself in a very personal way, but you're not supposed to take anything personal. But that's a fact, so we have to deal with it. So anyway, people do not answer. You send out a reminder. If you have the time, wait a week or something. And then ask, like, did you have the time, or did you find the time yet to read da 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 da? That works. A reminder should not be humble, like too humble. Don't say, oh, sorry that I'm calling you again, blah, 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 blah. No. And it should not be demanding. And of course, it should not have suddenly like 3 exclamation marks or whatever. And you would say that's a no-brainer. It's not. It's it helps to remember these things. And yeah, that was the reminders. Mails in general, but this is obvious. Try to be short because that's respectful. Especially people who are already in the business just don't have as much time, even if they would like to communicate with you. If they have to read all this stuff, it's taking time out of them. So don't do that. Respectful is short. And nice. But not too nice. So, yeah. Now I just dropped some things that might be helpful. Again, if it doesn't resonate, just throw it away. Name it, don't blame it. Like whenever there's a conflict, whenever there's something weird going on, say it early enough, but don't blame it. There's always a way just to put the sentence that you talk about the thing. Do not nag. It's not good. No one likes it. And don't bark, don't snap. That will escalate, as maybe you've experienced that. I've experienced that with many bands. It's very good to, if something escalated already in an email thread, especially when companies are involved and many parties, just pull out and then write a one-liner. This has to be discussed in person. Because there is so much space for misunderstandings via emails. It's unbelievable. And even with like major companies who should be aware of this, things are getting lost because there is too much information. Things get lost because people talk too much and say not enough sometimes. So, yes, you can always pull out and say, this is to be discussed in person. Act, don't react. Even if you're in a weird situation with a colleague or whatever, and someone is saying, well, but you did this and that, or we can't go on tour because there's something weird in the room. Remember what your goal is. It's about your goal. What do you want? What do you want the outcome to be? Just stay with that. And that helps. And actually, act, don't react makes sense for a lot of people. Making the call. Sometimes in all this writing back and forth, the most easy solution is just to make a phone call. And people forgot about this for a long time. Now it's kind of getting back in. It actually really makes sense. But if you do it, have a list in front of you. Really have a list. And just with these 3 things, what do you want to get across? What do you want to find out? And what is your end goal? Because sometimes, don't get lost. So sometimes conversations suddenly are about something else. Just stare at your list and make sure when you hang up, you know what you wanted to find out. And you said what you wanted to say. And the basic rule is whenever you talk about yourself in public, make it good news. People, human beings, like good news. And you don't have to be, I'm the superstar. But if it is a good news, yes, we fought for this, now the Kickstarter is done. That's great. That's people want to be, they feel attracted to good situations, which is a very healthy thing. Don't overdo it. You still have to be kind of honest with it. You can also say, well, you can even put that after a tough situation with the company, we're really proud to put this thing out now on that and that label. Or you can always find a way to make it a good experience to be with you. And this is all about that. It must be a good, nice experience to be with you. And this does not mean that everybody has to like you. Not at all. Not at all. And trying to make it up to everyone is not sexy at all. So you have to find your way in between. But this is training, and this you just, pick out whatever things you like. And one more thing, there's this waiting situation. I don't know, has anybody of you ever been stuck in a situation where your record got delayed, or you had to wait for a company or a booking agency, or your tour got cancelled, or anybody? Okay, so this being on hold, being set on hold, is one of the most exhausting experiences for our, I don't know how to say that, soul, psychic, heart, I don't care, for our inner system, and actually for our bodies too. And what happens is that it's like a car that has like full motor on, but it can't move. That's horrible. So what happens, for example, if your band, your release got delayed, what can happen is, and what often happens, that the band turns against each other. Because there is all this energy and it needs to get out. And if you're not aware that this is a very frustrating situation, you will turn it against yourself or others. Only if you see this right now as a catastrophe, we will have to wait for another 3 months, or we don't even know how long. So what are we doing with this? In a band situation, it can be really good to say, hey, let's take a break. We can have different tasks, but for 2 weeks to get the steam off, let's have a total break and then get back in. You can also go on this band trip you've planned for so long and never had the time, and actually work on new material. You can do a lot of things if you're aware of how serious this situation actually is. And also, even if you're alone and you're put on hold, that might be even harder to make a conscious decision to say, okay, I turn this inner waiting room into a garden of extra time. What do I want with this? And you can also ask a friend and talk about it. But again, these things like to work in the dark. If you shine a light on it, you can deal with it. And it's so funny because I've seen bands or artists, they went through crazy shit and they always survived. And then there was a period where they just got delayed for half a year and then another half a year, and the band broke up. For no reason. There was no pressure from the outside. Because it's so hard to deal with this. So get a grip on it and shine a light on the little stupid monsters. Yes.
I have the same situation with our new booking agency, because we are playing some support gigs for Germany, and so they said, okay, maybe we can play here. We wait for 1 week, we wait for 2 weeks, the concert starts in 4 weeks, and this is something we have this year going on all the time. We save our time for Reeperbahn Festival, for example, and until now I don't know, do I play at the Reeperbahn Festival, but I can visit my grandma as well.
Yeah.
Maybe I play.
Yes. Okay, from what I hear, yes, from what I hear right now, the line has been there already. So it does not mean you have to cancel that agency. But what you have to do is to say, for me, in order for us to work, we need a reliable plan. So, and don't even do that via email or on the phone. Say, I need to see you because I need to find out if we can still work together, and make sure you would love to work with them. And it would, it would really hurt you to go, but you have to, because it's bleeding you dry. Yeah. Yeah, but get out of this little girl mode, and you can. And find the highest person in rank and address that person. Be well prepared. Yes, little more things. Role models are great. Role models are good. Competition is a fact. So people who are, especially women, I have to say, are afraid of competition. That's stupid. There are so many great musicians in Berlin, and you can help each other, but there is also, at a certain league, there is competition. So what? It's like sport. Get over it. You can still help each other. But comparing sucks. It can take so much energy out of you to compare yourself to other people. Yes, don't talk bad about your colleagues. And you can actually tell by people who like to talk bad about other colleagues with you that they will talk about you as soon you are not there anymore. It's a very cheap way to get a pseudo closeness to someone, to be on a party and feel connected over how stupid or how unsuccessful or whatever someone else is, or what that people pulled off or whatever. It's worth nothing. It just shoots you in the back. Whenever you can, and there will always be people doing this, but if you can, just pull back. Say, in a very nice way, just why you can just start talking about something else. You can also say, why don't we talk about this with that person? It's possible. And especially if you want to stay in this business for a long time, there is one thing you will always meet twice. It's so funny. I'm in this business for over 25 years now, and people are dead for years or just in different scenes, and suddenly they pop up in situations and in positions you would have not expected that. So you do not have to forgive. You should not. You have to forgive, actually. Like when something, if you had a bad experience with the boss of Sony or whatever, maybe. Yep. That's water under the bridge, but don't forget. Just don't carry the grudge. That's heavy on you. Yes, obviously, and that's almost the last thing. I really recommend that. And that's hard because a lot of people don't do it, and then you feel it's possible that you feel a little stupid, but be reliable. It's so important. Be as reliable with other people as you want to be treated. If you're the one who's always late, if you're the one who makes excuses, if you're the one who's not calling back just because that person is not serving you, how can you expect that someone that you need is taking time for you? It's this is something actually good that is building a true self-confidence, that you can rely on yourself and people can rely on you. And yes, know the rules you break. And this is a lot about making your homework, doing your research. And by that, I mean, you can do all this. I'm just asking you to be aware. Like, you can write long emails. You can turn down offers right away. Someone offers you, hey, do you want to have an artist contract instead of a Plattenübernahmevertrag? And you say, no, that's not friendly, but you can do it. like, or see your colleagues as a real Tinder thing, like be in the scene and just go around and fuck your colleagues. You can do it, it will not pay. Talk business on business parties. These business parties are so important, you need to show up, but if you start to talk business there, it's kind of weird. People are there to socialize, they want to find out how you are, who you are. And also, yes, again, to these business parties, you can get totally pissed there and being over social and over private. No one will tell you that was bad. People will just not invite you again. So that is another thing. If you hear constructive critic from anyone, take it, listen to it. If it's stupid, throw it away. But it's so much harder to get good criticism than to get a pale compliment. People do not take the time of day to criticize. Listen to it and learn from it. And yeah, like all these things, you can hold on stubbornly to your point and you can fight with your team in front of others, but at least know what you're doing. You can also call your business partners on a weekend. This can actually work, but you have to know what you're doing. Like, you do it once. You do it once when something is really, when the house is on fire, do it. And to find out what your rules are that you want to break or what not want to break. Make your research before. Find out how the team is ticking, find out how that agency is ticking. You have to have a little bit more knowledge about them than they have about you. Okay. And I think we can come to the end. So, and this is maybe the most important thing. It's do not ever lose joy in doing what you do. If you feel that, pull back, find something that's really triggering you, listen to a record that makes you cry, whatever. Go out, have fun. Because that comes for free and it's your rocket fuel. Thank you, my dears.